Now, on this Christmas Day, a day many associate with peace and goodwill, a significant development has unfolded at the International Court of Justice. Belgium has now formally joined the case brought by South Africa, which accuses Israel of committing genocide in Gaza. This move makes Belgium the latest in a line of countries, including Ireland, Spain and Turkey, to intervene in the proceedings. But what does this declaration of intervention actually mean? Does it signal full support for South Africa's accusations, or is it a more nuanced legal stance? To help us unpack the diplomatic and legal implications of this move, we're now joined by international relations expert Ayesha Kajee. Ayesha, very good morning. In fact, Merry Christmas to you. Now, Belgium has filed a declaration of intervention. In simple terms, what does this mean and why is it significant?
Good morning, Hugo, and Merry Christmas to you as well. I think that it appears that Belgium is supporting South Africa's case at the ICJ, but it's quite a nuanced intervention. It has indicated specifically that it will be focusing on Article 2 of the Convention on the Prevention of Genocide at the ICJ. And that Article 2 really looks specifically at the intent to commit genocide. So it appears that Belgium is going to be bringing its legal opinion to bear on that intent, on that clause of intent to commit genocide. And, there are very well-respected jurists, international jurists in Belgium, and it appears that they are preparing arguments to present before the ICJ. The ICJ has invited both South Africa and Israel to respond to this. As you've said, Belgium is not the only country to intervene in this case. Other countries, such as those that you mentioned, Turkey, Ireland, Spain, and Colombia, Brazil, and Mexico, among others, have also intervened in this so-called genocide case at the ICJ, brought by South Africa 2 years ago. In fact, the anniversary of that is coming up later this week. So it's taken Belgium 2 years, but it's a welcome development. It means that more and more countries are concerned that, firstly, that Israel is committing a genocide in Gaza, and secondly, that the provisions or the provisionary measures, the interdictory measures that the court has issued thus far have not been adhered to. So as the case continues, we'll see, I think, even more countries joining in. In fact, it's a shame that most of the countries of the world haven't joined in this case yet. I think at present there are about 15, with South Africa 16. So it's certainly a case that should actually concern every citizen throughout the world, because it is, on a very specific type of international global war crime that at the end of the Second World War, the world came together, the United Nations came together and said never again. And yet we've allowed this genocide, alleged genocide, to continue for more than 2 years now. So,
Ayesha, you talk about concern, right, and encouraging more countries to show their concern, but their concern isn't really enough, well, at least not for the Palestinians, right? Not for the over 70,000 who've lost their loved ones, because I think the death toll is sitting at a little over 71,000, right? And when we bring everything into context, we're speaking about a little over 1,200 Israelis that were killed on that fateful day on October 7th, right? But the response is almost nothing like we've seen before.
Yeah, and Israel continues to annex more land in the occupied Palestinian territories, including the West Bank and East Jerusalem, as well as in Gaza. Just yesterday, another 5% beyond the yellow line announced at the beginning of the so-called ceasefire in October this year, which of course has not been a ceasefire because bombings and attacks continue every day. But an extra 5% of Gaza has been, moved into Israel's control of territory. And just yesterday, Israel's Minister of Defense said that they would never completely leave Gaza. So the intent is very clear. The intent is to remove and displace the Gazans, as we've seen, not least through attempts to bring some of them into South Africa under questionable circumstances, almost stranding them here. And there's obviously an attempt to depopulate the Gaza Strip. You've mentioned that the death toll officially in Gaza over the last 2 and a bit years has reached over 70,000. What perhaps you failed to mention is that there are estimated to be at least that many or twice that many bodies under the rubble, because Gaza has been decimated in terms of its infrastructure. So there are believed to be many, many more bodies under the rubble, many in mass graves, which were covered up by the Israeli military, etc.
Now, Ayesha, with countries like Brazil, Colombia, and now Belgium on board, what does this growing list of intervening states say about the international community's view of this conflict in the ICJ case?
Well, I think, firstly, there has been unprecedented public civil society support for the case and protest against the genocide throughout the globe. That has had a major effect in pushing states to, firstly, recognize Palestine, which many have done during the course of this year, to secondly, stop arming the Israeli state, or to sanction exports to the Israeli state, which is another, shall we say, heartening move. And thirdly, I think more and more states are becoming aware that if they do not speak up and if they do not intervene, as they are obliged to do under the Rome Statute of the ICC and the Geneva Conventions of under which the ICJ was established, that if they do not do so, they may well be held to have been complicit through their silence. And certainly, of course, there are those that are complicit through arming and financing and in other ways supporting the genocidal state, in this case, Israel.
Ayesha Kajee, appreciate your time speaking to us on this Christmas morning. International Relations Expert as Belgium joins South Africa's ICJ case against Israel.